Joining me now, Adam Klasfeld, Law and Crimes Managing Editor, who's been at the courthouse throughout this trial. Katie Smith, a civil attorney who worked for the Special Federal Litigation Division for the City of New York, and Kristy Greenberg. She served as Deputy Chief of the Criminal Division at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. She was actually in the courtroom for E. Jean Carroll's cross-examination. All right, so let me start with you then, Kristy, because you were there for a good amount of the cross-examination. Are you at all surprised that there was a unanimous verdict here? Because that was the only question, I think, for a lot of people is, are they going to be able to get a unanimous verdict?
I wasn't surprised. I expected that they would return a verdict of liability. She was consistent throughout about the core allegations of what she says happened. She's consistent in her deposition, in her book, and at trial. And she was corroborated. She had two witnesses. In order to believe Donald Trump, you had to believe that not only was E. Jean Carroll lying, but that these two other respected journalists, friends of hers, also came in and lied. And they, frankly, in the courtroom didn't seem like they really wanted to be there. They came across as very truthful. And their personal text messages as well seemed to suggest, again, that they were not anxious to be in the courtroom.
Let me ask you, Katie, what do you make of the fact that they didn't find him responsible for rape, but did find him responsible for sexual abuse?
Right, that's puzzling, because if you buy her version of the events completely, then you buy that there was rape. So it's either a compromise or there was a lack of corroborating information, that they were troubled about that allegation and a lack of proof.
And I think that's where it came down, right? I think the bottom line is, on that issue, they said, what do we have corroborating evidence on? We have corroboration for, her characterization of what she told Lisa Birnbach and Carol Martin, and on that, maybe there were questions about rape versus sexual abuse, but, someone asked me, do you think that this is in any way a setback for her? And I said, what difference does it make? Whether they're calling it rape or sexual abuse, I'm not suggesting that it's the same thing as a legal matter, but as a practical matter, she wins the case.
Right. They found that he was liable of sexual abuse. That's a huge thing. This is a former president of the United States who they are finding committed a sexual assault. That is huge. And, in terms of why it wasn't rape, Tacopina made a lot of comments about just the logistics and using your common sense. Could this rape have happened in 3 minutes with them both fully clothed? And maybe the jury found, no, that wasn't actually possible, but that something did happen. And so, like Kate said, it was a compromise.
Adam Klasfeld, you were in court, but you also wrote a whole article about Donald Trump's post this morning, which I think was very interesting, because he chose not to testify in this case, but he said on Truth Social this morning the following. It's number 6. Waiting for a jury decision on a false accusation where I, despite being a current political candidate and leading all others in both parties, am not allowed to speak or defend myself, even as hard-nosed reporters scream questions about the case of me. In the meantime, the other side has a book falsely accusing me of rape, is working with the press. I will therefore not speak until after the trial, but will appeal the unconstitutional silencing of me as a candidate no matter the outcome. Just to be clear, Donald Trump was offered multiple opportunities to testify, correct?
That is absolutely correct. Multiple opportunities to testify. As a matter of fact, even after his attorney, Joe Tacopina, formally closed and rested his case, the judge gave Mr. Tacopina another chance to request reopening the case for the purposes of allowing his client to testify, because the former president at the time told reporters from Ireland that he was going to go home and confront E. Jean Carroll. Of course, that didn't happen because Mr. Trump again declined to testify after that statement.
I want to play, this is from Donald Trump's deposition, because I do think that the deposition ended up being a critical piece of evidence. And it's not just what he said, it was how he said it. There was, a level of frustration. Look, and if you are saying you're falsely accused, being frustrated is one thing. But this was probably the moment that tripped him up the most, which is a picture which showed that E. Jean Carroll had met Donald Trump, even though he had insisted they hadn't met before. That's the picture. Donald Trump was looking at this picture, and as he's looking at it, he mistakes the woman on the left, who is E. Jean Carroll, for his ex-wife, Marla Maples, number 15.
I don't know who. It's Marla.
You say Marla's in this photo?
That's Marla, yeah. That's my wife.
Which woman are you pointing?
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.